Hello everyone, welcome to the Open Central Asia Regional Interest Community. My name is Yerkin Abdurrahimov. Today I'm going to be your host. I'm not alone, I'm going to work with my colleague behind the scene, Nadra Kushpakova, one of the community leaders. She's from Uzbekistan. She will be moderating the chat box and will be facilitating Q&A session at the end of the webinar. Welcome to the special webinar series. Today is our presenter Mukadas Tashieva from Kyrgyzstan. She will be speaking on the topic of teaching English to the students with learning disabilities or language barriers. Let me introduce our presenter. Mukadas Tashieva is a Fulbright Foreign Student Program alumna and a 2023-2025 Muskie Fellow from Kyrgyzstan. She holds an Master of Education in Special Education from Kent State University, where she conducted research on school readiness for participation in reading studies in Kyrgyzstan. Mukadas currently serves as a professor at the RIC University of Central Asia, teaching inclusive education in the Master of Arts in Teaching program. She is also the founder of the nonprofit Active Alum and the president of KGT Seoul, spearheading inclusive English language initiative nationwide. In 2024, she interned at FHI 360 in Washington, D.C., contributing to international education programs. Her research focuses on reading interventions in ESL classrooms, particularly for learners with disabilities and marginalized groups. Welcome, Mukadas. We are very happy to have you today. Thanks for your contribution to our mutual community. It's over to you.
Thank you very much, Erkin. Thank you for your invitation. I'm excited and delighted to be here to share with my experience about special education, about inclusive education, and of course, today's our topic is about learning disabilities. Yep. Okay. Can I have an access for a screen share?
Sure. I'm going to make you a co-host.
And dear participants, if you have any questions, you can share in the chat box, and I will try to respond at the end of my presentation. Then we can start. So by that time, can you just think about a question or a picture that you took a risk, okay? So today we will talk about
now you are a co-host, Mukadas. While Mukadas is sharing her screen, let me remind you the session is being recorded. So if you don't want to be seen in the recording, you can have your camera off. It's optional, but encourage it. And the session provides the certificate. The link to the certificate form will be shared at the end of the webinar, and it will be available for 30 minutes after the session ends. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So let us start. Are we ready?
Yeah, yes, we can see your screen perfectly.
Thank you. Thank you for your introduction about me. So it's my kind of professional development background, and today I will be sharing about why did I choose special education, inclusive education, because I am an English language teacher, and how did I go to that sphere? So I will share. So today our topic is teaching English to students with learning disabilities or language barriers. So you will learn about practical adaptation strategies. So I usually call myself inclusive and special education expert. So if you have any questions, so you may ask, what are we going to do today? So it will be interactive. That is why I put kind of workshop objectives. You are welcome to share your thoughts, your ideas during my session. And we are going to understand MTSS and Tier 2 support. And you will learn about what is learning disabilities, recognize of dyslexia, science of dyslexia, analyze Ishan's case from Tiara Zamin Par, so we will translate, it's from Indian language, okay? apply practical classroom adaptations, and then you will learn how to create inclusive English learning environments. Okay, so are we ready? Let's go on. So these are questions. So before sharing my presentation, I asked you, think about a picture that you took a risk. And these are photos that I took a risk. You know, the first one is what kind of picture is this? It is not me, but I took from internet, but I did this one. What is that activity? It is
Zip line.
zip line. Yes, when I went to the US for the first time in 2019, and one of the devastating, I can say, but it was really a big risk-taking action. It was so we had to jump from one mountain to another through the zip line, you know, and I took a risk and I did it. Next is you can see here my students. So they are students with special needs, but they started learning English through Access program. Probably most of you know what is Access program. Yes. And I mean, my first Access program journey started teaching English to students with special needs. So there were 30 students with 30 different disabilities. And I think nowadays, after the research, after having my master's degree in special education now, I think that I took a big risk teaching these children for English. And another big risk is I took all my 5 children and my husband to the US to study, to pursue my master's degree. And it was a big risk for my children to study in American schools. You see, it was a big change. And all these pictures related to my what topic, today's topic. So we will see why. So what is a risk? What do you think? What is a risk, dear teachers? So do we think about taking a risk? Does it mean only just taking a risk is that we do big things or dangerous things, or do we have risk in our daily life? What do you think?
Yes, thank you, Mukadas. That's a great question. Yes, as everywhere there is a risk. Yes, we can risk in teaching by applying different methods, different strategies, right? So we experiment, we risk doing because we think that if this method or strategy will be appropriate for the particular level of students. Of course, there is a risk in our daily life. Of course, what do you think, dear participants? You can write in the chat, or you can raise your virtual hand to speak.
Yes, just if you have any ideas, or you can just share. Risk to take a decision to do something obligatory or either necessary. Yes, Aidareliva Alimaya. So she's sharing, trying to do something. Yes. Okay. Yes, you are right. Absolutely right. And all of us, who are we? We are English language teachers, and we are also big risk takers, dear teachers. You know, recently I learned. So we provided a big international conference where the rector, or just a provost of my university in the US, she came and visited, and she made a plenary speech, and she said that learning English for other language speakers is taking a risk. You see? So every day when we teach English language as a second language, so it means our students, they are taking a risk. So they are speaking in a foreign language. It is also a big risk for them to make some decision, yes, to do some steps. That is why we think that learning English is a big risk taking. So therefore, teaching children with learning disabilities or children with special needs, it is a big risk, especially when we teach them for English language. Do you agree with me or no, dear teachers? Because sometimes our teachers, you think that your students, they cannot understand English. Yes, or all of us, we have a big challenge in the classroom. What kind of challenge? So we have big challenge in speaking skills. Do we? Yes. We teach reading, we teach listening, sometimes we try to teach writing. However, we cannot see the result of teaching English through the speaking. Yes? So this is a risk for our students to speak English. And today you will learn how to provide appropriate accommodation or appropriate support to your students who are taking a risk. Okay? Let's go on then. So many of us, we have, look at these pictures. Do you have such kind of students in your classrooms? And so majority of the students, they consider as a what? Classrooms are often misunderstood. So they consider as being, such kind of students, they consider as being lazy, careless, yes, unmotivated. However, some of them, some learners, they may process language different and they need some targeted instructional support rather than what? Punishment. Because they are taking a risk and this is a foreign language and they may have learning disabilities. Okay? In order to understand and define, do we have learning disabilities? We need to know the tiers, 3 tiers of our children. Okay? Have you ever heard about MTSS? MTSS, it is multi-tiered system of support, and it is a comprehensive educational framework. And it is taken from the global education. This is a evidence-based MTSS support, okay? A framework used in schools to provide academic, behavioral, and social emotional support to all students based on their individual needs. If you go to the history of MTSS, so it began in the United States in the late 1990s and in early 2000s. Maybe you might heard about response to intervention. Intervention, it means that when some students, they need support, so we just differentiate our classes. Yes, it means intervention. So we just we simplify our lesson plan. It is kind of intervention to our students of providing what? Additional support. So from RTI, response to intervention, which focused on identifying and supporting students with learning difficulties early. So we define and then we immediately support. And also another is positive behavioral intervention supports, PBIS, which focused on improving students' behavior and school climate. So over time, educators realized that schools need one integrated system. And in order to dividing them into two, so they brought into the one MTSS framework, okay? So MTSS, M stands for what? Multi-tiered system of support. There are 3 tiers here, you see. Tier 1, all students. Tier 2, some students. And Tier 3, few students, okay? Now, have you ever heard before about multi-tiered support, or is it your first time? If it is first time, just you raise your hands, okay? Or you can just first time heard before.
Yes, yeah, you can write in the chat box like it's the first time.
It is
or you can say
interactive
yes.
workshop, dear teachers. If you have time, join us.
Or
So
if you have experience, yes, you can speak.
Have experienced. So to understand our learners, we need to know about MTSS, or multi-tiered support framework, okay? So what does it mean? So let's say, thank you. MTSS, this is stands for what? Right support, right time, right intensity. So if you look at this chart, you see Tier 1 students, universal support. It means that this is general education students. So Tier 1, this is universal support, regular class lesson plan. Majority of us, we have, I mean that all of us, 90 of our teachers, so we just bring one lesson plan, one instruction to one classroom. Aren't we? Yes. And we go mostly to what? General education. Yes. So, and then where 80 and 90% of students, they look what? Healthy. So we cannot see, or we just rarely see some students with disabilities, but majority of them, they are what? Healthy students, physically healthy mostly. And so these students, they refer to Tier 1. So it means for all students in the classroom, high quality instruction for all, differentiated teaching in daily lesson plan, and usually we use what? UDL and screening and early identification. So here we just use what, as I said, regular class lesson plan. And let's go to number 3. I will miss number 2 because we will come back. Number 3, the color is what? Red. It means those students with visible disabilities. So when you see a child, you just recognize immediately that this student or this child has what? Disabilities. So physical disability, maybe a mental, but it is obviously seen. So therefore, those children who have some disabilities or students with disabilities, we refer to Tier 3, okay? So mostly we call them those students with severe disabilities. And majority of these students, they have home education. They stay at home, they don't attend regular general schools, and so they are kinda segregated from the community. You see? So do we have such kind of students, or do we have teachers who go to, who provide home education? I think yes. Most of our teachers, especially English teachers, they experience, because all schools, all regions, they have some home educated students where teachers go to their visit these students with disabilities houses and teach them. Yes, so we refer severe students with severe disabilities and obvious disabilities to Tier 3. Okay, here these students, they need one-on-one what? Support. So we call kinda intensive support. Okay, and we provide them IEP, individualized educational plan. For example, if I have a student and his name is Asan has a cerebral palsy and Asan cannot go to school, so I have to develop IEP for Asan's learning abilities and then provide what with IEP, okay? But later we will talk what is IEP. IEP, it means individualized educational plan. And usually if you know that there are special educators in American school, in other European schools. However, we don't have special educators at schools in Central Asian schools. Mostly only one teacher teach the whole class, yes? So we don't have any assistant, or we don't have special teacher to go and to teach one specific child. So IEP mostly developed by who? Special educators. But coming back to Tier 2, if Tier 3 is visible students with disabilities, so when you see, you can recognize the student has a disability. But Tier 2, it is kind of dangerous. They are invisible. They may seem healthy physically, but they may attend regular classes or general schools. However, they have what? They need support Tier 2. They might have cognitive disabilities, some mental, Usually in Russian, in Central Asian, I mean that post-Soviet countries, we usually call them отсталые. Yes? So mentally, somehow with mental disabilities. So that is why. So these students may refer to tier 2. For students who need some extra support, classroom adaptation and small group interventions, adjustment in teaching materials, time and strategies, we need for what? Tier 2. So, and if we have for tier 1 regular lesson plan, for tier 2, we will have adaptations, okay? So you will just adjust your lesson plan or simplify to that student need, okay? So, and IEP, it is for those students with what? Specific, with severe disabilities. Is everything clear, dear teachers? Yes? So MTSS, it means what? Multi-tiered support. So we divide our students into 3. Tier 1 students, tier 2, and what? Tier 3. Usually we don't see our tier 3 students where? At schools. But if you go to developed countries, so all students, they are all in one, they go to one school. Okay?
Yeah,
However,
that's a great presentation. Yes.
yes, and however, we may think it might be kind of misconception for us that tier 2 students also might refer to tier 1. That's why we demand a lot from our students providing one lesson plan, one instruction. Do you understand? And that is why you may just label some of your students who cannot study well as lazy one, as crazy one, yes, as weak student, as what? As low learner, yes, weak learner. Maybe those weak learners, they are struggling being as a tier 2. They might have what? Some cognitive disabilities, learning disabilities. Okay? Are we ready to go? Yes. Yep. So now, do you understand what is a regular lesson plan for tier 1? Yes. Adaptation for tier 2 and individualized education plan for tier 3. Next, please. So now we need to know there are many types of what? Disabilities. And we have physical disabilities, sensory disabilities, you see? So we may have hearing or vision, intellectual disabilities, mental health disabilities, but those who are intellectual disability with higher level of intellectual disabilities, they refer to tier 3, okay? And then mental health disabilities, neurological disabilities, we might have developmental disabilities, and also we have what kind of disabilities? Learning disabilities. And the learning disabilities, it is also one of the type of the what? Disability. And look, I have shared with this picture, yes, a slide before. If your students continuously, so if your students regularly continue such kind of actions as being tired, frightened, yes, being kind of lazy or weak learner, your students might have what? Learning disabilities. And learning disabilities are often invisible disabilities. Students may have average or high intelligence. So they might be average or high intelligence, but still they may suffer with learning disabilities. Difficulties affect academic processing skills. So do you have dvoshniki, those students who every time gets 2 marks in Central Asia? We just mark with this. Yes, great. or bad learners they consider, yes? Yeah. And there are some types of disabilities, learning disabilities as dyslexia, dysgraphia, and dyscalculia. Today, we will talk about one of these, what? Learning disabilities. Maybe it might be dyslexia, maybe it might be dysgraphia or dyscalculia. Okay? Now, you are going to guess which type we are going to talk through watching a video, short video. Okay? Are you ready?
Yes.
Are we good?
Yes.
Good. Perfect. So now we are going to watch a video, and your task is observing teachers' attitude and teachers' behavior toward the student. And then after that, try to define that which type of this disability, okay? Learning disability. Ready?
Yes.
Mhm. Okay. Could you watch? Yes. Can you share in open class or in the chat box? Yes, what type of the disability, learning disabilities? Yes, dyslexia. Uh-huh. Okay. Majority of you,
Yeah,
you.
Nadra, you can read some comments in the chat.
Mhm.
Hello everyone. Thank you, Yerkin. The question is about is from Rosetta. She's one of our global coordinator. Hello, Mukadas. In TER2 and a bit of TER1 in my home country, Guyana, these topics of TER IR is known as remedial. My daughter was teaching these students, but it was too much. Does your Ministry of Education in Central Asia has direct teachers specified training for TEIR teachings?
Yeah, tier
Thank you.
teaching, yes.
About here, what about
Mhm.
the video, Nadra? Could you please read some comments about the video?
I will respond
Yes,
to this question later, yes?
about the video, Zarina said that she has already watched it, and Durakshan Hamidjanova, really, I haven't known that you are going to show this video, but she said she remembered this film. Marjan said, I have watched this film. It's about dyslexia. Shahzad said, dyslexia, this movie is amazing. I think every teacher must watch this. And Asel, yes, I have also watched it. I watched lots of films about dyslexia. Tunakai said Mutriba, and Alima said Diana said dyslexia, and Dr. Khan said, after watching this film for the first time, I began to understand students well. This is dyslexia. And Jainagul said, I haven't watched. What is the name of this film? And Alima, this video is very touching. Our soul, very emotional. It makes cry. Thank you.
Thanks for the comments, everybody. Over to you, Mukadas.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yes, exactly. This type of the common that majority of we know that this is dyslexia, so where we have reading issues. Yes. So do you think that teacher's behavior was right toward the student? I mean, Ishan. I think she did absolutely incorrect. Yes, because she was kind of rude and she was demanding. And we could see that traditional type of the teaching, yes, that there are many students and individualized. So teacher just ask one student, not there is no any group work or pair work, yeah, or any support. So this is dyslexia. Unfortunately, you see, Ishan seems physically healthy. However, he has what? Reading difficulties. And now let us continue. Yeah, you are right. Today we will talk about dyslexia because majority of teachers, when we work with our students, we demand a lot, especially when we teach English. So we require our students to retell big texts in English language. So as I said at the beginning in my presentation, that first they are taking to speak in English, to speak English, taking a risk, yes. Another is if they have what dyslexia, if they have learning reading difficulties, it is double challenge for these students. Okay, and how do we have to understand dyslexia? Dyslexia affects reading and language processing. And difficulty with decoding, spelling, and fluency. So can you just tell me about how did Ishan read the text when her teacher, she was requiring, yes, demanding from him? How did he read, and what kind of phrase did he say? He said what? The letters are dancing.
Dancing, yeah.
Yes, dancing letters. You see, he wanted to read. However, he sees the letters upside down, okay, or in different position. Therefore, he wasn't able to read the letters, okay? And here is why did I go to the US and pursued my master's degree in special education. Do you see this little boy? This is this photo from my real classroom. And then I was kind of that teacher. I started teaching English for students with different disabilities through Access program. And then during my teaching, after 8 months, so I couldn't teach my student any of the word in English. When he was reading, he was just blurbing as Ishan. And then I understood. I was kind of just ordinary English language teacher, and I wanted to teach him. However, nothing worked well. Okay. And then I just inquired myself, what is wrong with Nurillah? Because he is actually 16 years old, but he has what? Short height, and he has another disability so with the medical disabilities, he had what kidney disorder. And I thought that one child may have one type of the disability. However, no, I was wrong. That later on I defined that Nurillo, he has even dyslexia. So sometimes one child with disability, one type of disability might have several types of disabilities, especially learning disabilities. Therefore, I decided to find the answer for my questions, and then that's why I applied for Fulbright program, and I went to the US, taking a risk, bringing my children to find the answer for my questions. Okay, so this was, and later on, my research in reading as well. So the same that Nurillo also had, Ishan also had, what kind of difficulties in decoding, spelling, and fluency. If they cannot read well, they may not also write well as well, correct, okay? In this case, we call it what spelling? Dysgraphia, okay? And spelling also with the words when they tell letters. So yes, spelling that incorrect letters. Sometimes they also write it. In this case also not related to intelligence. So dyslexia, it is not intelligence disability. Okay, students often show strengths in creativity and oral communication. They may seem ordinary child when they just communicate with other boys or girls. However, when it comes to reading, they may try to escape, they may try to do some other avoiding actions. Do you remember I showed some pictures of being lazy students? Some of your lazy students may have also what? Dyslexia. And signs of dyslexia in English class. So they read slow, letters are reversal, and difficulty copying from the board, and poor spelling despite effort. Okay? Avoidance of reading aloud. If you try to ask your students to read aloud, they try to avoid it. Okay? They don't want to read because they are afraid of reading aloud because they think that it might be incorrect. Okay? That is why. So if we come back to Ishan's case, what happened in Ishan's case? Reading and writing struggles, yes? So Ishan, case example, he struggles with reading and writing, and he has what? Emotional frustration. Could you notice Ishan's emotional frustration, emotional behavior, yes? And creative strengths. So majority of you have already watched this movie, yes? I would just suggest you to watch on the weekends. And again, watch this movie with the perspective as a teacher and observe that both teachers' school methodology and the teacher who helped him, okay? How did he help him? And then supporting teaching changed outcomes and strengths based on inclusive approach. Any questions, dear participants? Any question?
As I see, there is one question, but shall we leave it for Q&A session and move forward, or would you like to?
If it is related to the
dyslexia,
my activity, then we can.
Okay, Nadra, would you like to address this question to Mukadas?
Yes, please.
Okay, the question is from Rosetta. What would you advise teachers who are at present teaching a mixture of dyslexia as well as normal students in one class?
That's a great question.
That's a great question, and it's that thing that I want to now share with you. Okay, so what should we do as a teacher? So should we just bring the big topics and big text to our students, or what will be our role? Okay, what do you think, dear teachers? How can we solve this problem? I will ask you, and then I will try to share my own. If you know some ideas, so you are welcome.
Of course, it is very difficult if
It is
there
very difficult.
there
Yes.
are students with
Many
different levels, and where are
Yes.
the students with dyslexia and the students with normal reading pace.
Yes.
You know, it's here. I would suggest like having, you know, starting with a simple texts for the students with dyslexia. Very simple text.
You're right. And you know what I did before, I didn't know what to do with my student, with Nurullah, you know, and then I started creating small, what kind of spelling bee bags. Do you see these pictures? I wrote several letters, and I started working with my students, dividing them into the several group works. Okay, and those who can read well, so they were reading bigger text and they were reading with the timing. So they had to read a big text in 1 minute or in 1.5, and they were just observing and supporting each other in one group. Another group, middle average readers, so they were working with one paragraph. And those who were as my Nurilo, so they started working with the letters, okay? Because if we have such kind of students, you need to chunk text into smaller sections. First, try to chunk one into the paragraphs. If it doesn't work, chunk into the sentence, okay? If it doesn't work, chunk into the words or letters. And start teaching with 3-letter words. Cat, yes? C-A-T. So, cat, you see? So this is the smallest first step. Use visual and highlighted keywords. Provide audiobooks and text-to-speech, because if they cannot read, they can listen to well, and then they can select that letter and put in order. Allow partner reading. So pair with that partner who can read well, and that partner can read correct version, and that struggling student can repeat and try to select that word or show on the table, you see, and use dyslexia-friendly fonts. Okay, good. And I think I will make this picture bigger so you can see it better. So spelling bee back is one of the best option. It was for me, and it will work for you as well. So if you pay attention to the letters, they are colorful. There is no only one A. There are many A's. There are many different types of letters, okay? So my students, they try to make words using the letters in the spelling bee back. Any questions? No? Okay, you can jot down.
No questions? We have some comments. Would you like to read out, Nadra?
Yes,
Are there
yes,
any
sure.
comments?
Yes. To organize a teacher of psychology, from Alima, and Shahzad said maybe just give simple exercises to students with dyslexia, and again from Alima to have some talk with such kind of students.
Yes,
Thank you.
but you cannot, one thing is you cannot define them if they have dyslexia or no. That is why we need the screener. We need to screen these students. And today I will share with the sample of screening, so where you can define somehow if your students they are struggling with reading, if they have dyslexia or no, because we cannot immediately label our students without any screening that they have dyslexia or other types of disabilities. Okay, so therefore we need specials. I mean that professionals in this as well. Yeah. What do we have to do? As I said, that they are tier 2 students, learning disability students, okay? And therefore, they need to have some support as practical writing adaptations. For example, sentence starters, graphic organizers, reduced copying tasks, okay? Voice typing tools, alternative assessments, but try to make it everything in a bigger one, okay? So visually, it should be really creative. So students, they are frustrated reading, but when they see and work, so you need to slow down their pace as well. So it may take some time. Therefore, you need to also use appropriate vocabulary, okay? Multisensory English teaching. So you can ask, see the word, say the word, clap syllables, okay? How many syllables? And then trace, and write the word. Use the word in what? Communication. So in order punishing our students, we need to change our what? Or adjust our teaching. And if it is needed to simplify, please simplify it. Okay? And so these are key citations that I took from my presentation. So I will share the presentation as well. And at the end, what I want to say that different abilities, equal potential, small adaptation create big what? Opportunities. So if you face some challenges in your teaching, look at your students' what? Abilities. If it is difficult for them to read big text, ask them to retell one paragraph, okay? Just at least 2 sentences in English. I know because for Kyrgyz language teachers, I mean language learners, to learn English, it is difficult. If they have learning disabilities, it is double challenge for them. One thing is also, we cannot say all English language learners who are struggling in reading, so they have dyslexia. As I said, we need to screen, but before screening also, you can ask Russian language teacher or other language teachers, Kyrgyz language, for example, or Uzbek language teacher, your own native language teacher, where this student goes and studies. So ask them, does this student struggle reading in their class? Okay. If one student struggles in Russian, in Kyrgyz, and in English, it means he needs immediate support. If he is good in reading in other languages, it means that he is just struggling in foreign language. Okay? Do not mess up just labeling immediately a student with the having learning disabilities. Okay? And at the end, I just would like to, I would like to share with the screening tool, where you can also use with your students, okay? So by that then I will find, so if there are some questions, maybe you can ask, and then I will share with that document, okay?
Yeah, thank you so much, Mukadas. Thanks for the great presentation about the dyslexia, about your experience you have gained from your study as when you gain a master's degree. So that's amazing. Dear participants, do you have any questions? You can raise your virtual hand and ask directly. There is one question here, Nadra.
Yes. The question from Sayora. Can I share my experience with this kind of students at our school?
Okay, can I? Hello, everyone.
Yes.
Okay. I work at I'm from Tajikistan. I work at school Arcon. And you see, there are a lot of different kinds of students we accepted because of they are not to be closed. Instead, they study with normal students. And I have in my own class, there were 2 of the students. They have disabilities with hearing and of course with dyslexia. Even in their own language, in Tajik language, they cannot speak well. With some difficulties in Russian, in other languages, of course, they're like that too. But so they are really smart students. And now I'm working with them for 5 years, and they're doing very well. Anyway, they do some mistakes while they are spelling or kind of reading, even as I said, in their own language, but they're doing very well, and they're open, they're motivated, highly motivated, they're kind of super students. And there also were other more students in lower graders, of course, and autist, and kind of with this kind of disabilities, but they are also doing well. I think it depends, of course, the approach of the teacher and the attitude of the teacher. That class was the first B Zeynep Sebelianna, she's teaching in another place now, and these students, there were, I think, 3 of them, and they are doing well. Just now, that students, Amir Big, he is doing so well. His voice, he is reading, he is kind of telling the stories is super kind of it is kind of delighting when you hear, when you see, when you kind of see their kind of results, their success. That is amazing, of course. Yes, sometimes, when it was the first time, so for 5 years before, it was the first time I saw that kind of students. Maybe I didn't pay attention before, maybe, so it was the first. So I cried before studying, before teaching. I kind of cried every day when I saw them. It was really hard for me. They're kind of handsome boys, but with these kind of disabilities, and now they're doing super.
Great. And one thing, thank you, Sayora, share with your experience. I know, and I can feel your passion because I went through. I was the same. I am the same on your plate as well. That's
Yeah,
why, you are doing great job. And one thing
thank
that we
you.
can believe that education changes and
Yeah,
impacts a lot all three-tier children. Okay?
yeah,
So that is
yeah,
why even when we educate, when we teach them as fast learners or tier one students, universal for all students, they can learn or is easier and faster. But what about tier three and tier two? So we can just pace it. So just slow down, differentiate our instructions, and provide some accommodation. And they are also able to learn because they have right for what? Equal
yeah.
education.
Of course,
Yes?
yes. Yeah, of
Yes.
course.
And so
But
now you
those
see the
students,
difference.
yeah, but
Yeah.
those students who are in my class now, they are the best. They are the best of the class.
Think just show at the end I will do this one action. So yes, of course they are the best. All students are best. Yes, and here is a screening dyslexia screening observation sheet. Okay, I have just shared with Yerkin. You are welcome to share with the audience. Okay, and what do you have to say? What before I want to just start with this reminder: teachers do not diagnose dyslexia. Okay, this tool supports early observation and inclusive intervention planning. Okay, so just to adapt or adjust or to differentiate your lesson plan according to your some struggling students need. Okay, so what do you have to do? So you should write the student's name, grade, date, teacher, yes, and then you have to first pay attention reading indicators. So observe that read slowly or hesitantly. Yes, sometimes, okay. Confuses similar letters. Usually, these students they confuse B, D, P, Q, okay. Such kind of letters. When they read incorrectly. Skip words or lines while reading. They try to read at the beginning, then in the middle they can just skip or they can just blurb, okay. Difficulty sounding out words, avoids reading aloud. So these are kind of signals for dyslexia. Okay? If every time, every lesson or 1 month continues what? Yes, yes, yes. So it is kind of red flag for our teachers, for our schools, and of course for parents as well, and for a child as well. Okay, but the red flag it is not bad. It is good that we define earlier. Okay, writing indicators. We have further language and behavior indicators. So writing also you can look through that. Okay, language and barrier indicators. Difficulty following multi-step in the instructions. Low confidence during literacy tasks, okay? Strong oral skills but weak writing. It also refers to what? Dysgraphia as well. Becomes frustrated during reading, writing, difficulty remembering sequences, okay? And then every time you need to highlight your students' strengths plus, and then areas of concern and suggest classroom adaptation. what will work well. Okay, so you are welcome to use this handout screening sheet for you and share just pilot. Okay, so for the next year, maybe you can do, or during the summertime, find someone, or just practice with your children as well. Sometimes teachers, we think about people children, yes, other people children, but we don't think about our children. And maybe you can just screen your children as well during the summertime. So that is all. Thank you very much. If you have any questions.
Thank you so much, Mukadas, for this great presentation. Well, I think we don't have any questions, but we have like a comment here from Parvina Hakimova. I have a student who stutters a little bit and sometimes prefers to keep silent, then answering the questions. How can I support you? Yes, it's a question. So what can she do?
Can you read one more time? I was just.
I have a student who stutters a little, a bit, and sometimes prefers to keep silent, then answering the questions. How can I support him?
You need to observe.
Parvina, would you like to explain the situation?
I think I understood. Just to keep the time, I think you need to observe the student because you cannot guess. Sometimes because of the emotional behavior or something might happen at home, yes? And some students may just keep silent, especially teenager period, it's kind of puberty. Students are changing, their behavior changes, they may not understand themselves, they may have kind of imbalance emotional condition as well. In this case also sometimes they keep silence, they want to speak, they don't want to speak, they might be aggressive. However, especially if you want to define reading difficulties or reading challenges, so I think I would just suggest to use that screening sheet that I have shared and observe at least 1 month, okay? Because we cannot immediately define the students needs this one. And but every time try to avoid punishing students negatively. Try to find positive sides and then try to instill and evolve their positive strengths rather than paying attention to their minuses. I want to say this, I think.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the questions, Parvina. Thank you for the great participation, dear participants. Thanks for the presentation, Mukadas. Mukadas, if you have questions, we will upload the recording of today's session on our Facebook page, on Instagram, so you can ask your questions under the post. Once Mukadas visits our Facebook page, she will reply to your questions for sure. Thank you, everybody, for this great and active participation. Thank you, Mukadas. Mukadas, there is a question just to make sure in your presentation, your students' faces are not blurred. Is it okay? Because we are going to upload the recording of the session. Is it okay?
Yes, it's okay because these are access students, and so we got we received consent form by their parents at the beginning of the program. I think it is okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mukadas, for your clarification of this. Yeah, thank you, everybody. You can stay with us as we are going to announce some upcoming webinars. We will reach out to you shortly, Mukadas, to hand out your certificates. Thanks for your great contribution to our community, mutual community, right? Because we are all open alumni. We are all English teachers from Central Asia. So this is our community. Thank you so much for your contribution.
Thank you for your great work. I know it is volunteer work, and you are doing a lot for the Central Asian community. Good job, Yerkin. And
thank you.
One thing, so maybe you will announce, and can I do one activity at the end?
Yeah.
Because
I
can do it now. Yes.
Would you like to add something?
Yes, Sayora, she was saying that I love my students, so they are the best one. I think each teacher, we love our students. If you love, can you just share with the heart? Yes, emotion is a heart, like
Yeah,
this.
absolutely.
Because we are here to think about our students, even though the academic year is ending, but we are learning teachers. Yes, so therefore, just share with your love if you love your students. Yes. And of course, we love our students. Thank you very much. And I'm happy that I was at least somehow helpful with my today's presentation.
Yeah, it was really helpful, Mukadas. It was really helpful
a lot, yeah.
because you know, we will, as we are going to upload the recording of the session, those who are interested in your presentation will watch it for sure.
And I am mostly active on Instagram. If you want to just ask some questions additional, I lost my Facebook account. That's why.
Yeah. You can follow Mukadas on her Instagram account, and you can ask questions about dyslexia on her page on Instagram. Can you see the screen?
Yes.
Yeah, great. Our next webinar is in the Celebrating America 250. Our presenter is Alada Mirzaeva from Azerbaijan. She will be speaking on the topic of Martin Luther King and civil rights movement. The event is going to be on May 26, 6 p.m. Tashkent time. Next, we are going to have our alumni event, open alumni for open alumni from Central Asia, and it can be joined not only by open alumni, but any teachers, English teachers from Central Asia. So the event is going to be on May 27, 5 p.m. Tashkent time. Our next event, in the Alumni Connect series, our presenter Saparnepes Atabayev from Turkmenistan, he will be speaking on the topic of assessment for learning, formative assessment techniques. The event is going to be on May 29, 7 p.m. Tashkent time. So please be a part of our growing community. If you are not following us, please follow us on Facebook page, on YouTube channel, on Instagram page. You can see the QR codes of our page. That's it for today. That's it for today. Thank you so much, dear participants. Thank you so much again, Mukadas, for the great participation, for your great presentation. We'll see you next time on our webinars. Please stay tuned and follow us on our page. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you very much. Good night. Thank you.
Good night. See you next time.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, everybody, for the great participation. Please follow us and stay tuned. We are looking forward to seeing you on our upcoming webinars.